You know, I never thought I'd be making a video about the Duel meta, which is actually pretty crazy. But I think I might have fun making these videos because I get to rant about how the meta is. And I really think that the meta in Duel Links is low-key more toxic than the meta in Master Duel. But this time the meta is so toxic that they're going to be banning one of the key cards that is in the Tachyon meta, because pretty soon KZ Cup or a World Championships event is going to be coming out. And you know it's going to be ran by the new Therion deck. And if you don't know, the Therion deck is the new tier 0 deck in Duel Links, followed up by Destiny Heroes in tier 2. And somehow Eldridge made it to tier 3, which I don't get at all. The previous meta was Trap Tricks and Branded. Well, Branded fell off, so Trap Tricks was the number 1. Tachyon, B Trooper, and Galaxy Photon in tier 2. And then P.U.N.K in number 3, and then the high potential I think was Flounderies or something like that. But now since Therion pretty much broke the meta, pretty much everything else is gone from the meta, and the only tier 0 deck that there is Therion. There's not even any tier 1 decks, and the meta is just season 0, tier 2, and then tier 3. Therion already had disruptions, but then using Dragluxion and the Tachyon engine once again, now that Therion is literally a tier 0 deck and access to like 5 to 6 negates, it's really just going to break the game and it's going to get Dragluxion banned. Therion steps with so many negates and insulates itself from hand traps that competing in this format means playing Therion or playing Floodgates and helping Therion doesn't draw an out, or you are FTKing, another thing Therion can do. Therion is busted. Expect the meta to remain the same as long as Dragluxion is still in the meta. Therion, it has an insane going second engine, and being a rank 8 deck means it has access to all the broken tools Konami has introduced in the last few months, aka Divine Golden Shadow Dragon Dragluxion at number 90 Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. It's simply too strong. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can see what the problem is. Tachyon has already been abused by other things like Red Eyes, Blue Eyes, and P.U.N.K, but now that it's a rank 8 deck that has perfect use with these new cards, yeah, Dragluxion is probably going to get banned, and the only way for the meta to actually change is for Dragluxion to get banned. However, in my opinion, I think this is simply unfair due to Galaxy Eyes being able to shine in Duel Links for a little bit. For example, Tachyon is not even that bad of a deck compared to Prime, Branded, and Trap Tricks and other decks like B Trooper, which is insanely toxic. And besides, the strongest way to use the Tachyon is using Misael's skill with the whole Galaxy Eyes Barrier Battle Morph, which locks you out of hand traps like Lava Golem and Kaijus. It is one of the most easiest ways to combo. You just use Swords Child, summon Galactic Spiral, go into Dragluxion, get Tachyon Primal, special summon that onto the field, get a Transmigration, then go into Tachyon Dragon. After that, then you use the Galactic Spiral Dragon that you detach, special summon it back onto the field, and go in Titanic Galaxy, put your hand traps up, any set cards that you have, and end your turn. It's not really that hard. And unless you're like me, that you have multiple traps and counter traps, so you can have the most amount of disruptions while also having hand traps due to Tachyon that you're able to use, technically, you're not going to be having that many hand traps. All you're going to have is Transmigration for Omni Negate, Galaxy Spiral for a protection, and then Hope Harbinger for a spell negate. At lucky, you'll have 3 disruptions at best, but if you have any counter traps like me, for example, I have 3 copies of Exceeds Reflect, I have Numbers Protection and other Tachyon cards, to not only ensure that I have most disruptions possible, but also to make sure I pretty much don't break, because I'm always going to have a Tachyon card in my hand if I'm going first and second. Compared to the rest of the decks that have at least 6 disruptions, like how Prime Branded had 30 different hand starters and 6 disruptions, or how P.U.N.K Tachyon had about 6 disruptions. Tachyon by itself was a pretty balanced deck, as well as Galaxy Photon. Galaxy Photon was pretty much dead until the new cards came out. And I think it's honestly pretty sad as a Tachyon main, well, a Galaxy Eyes main in general, that by making this extremely busted deck, now we're going to have to ban a card that makes Tachyon really good in the first place. Like, literally, this is just going to restrict Galaxy Eyes to a pretty much OTK deck, unless you're using Galaxy Photon. Galaxy Photon would just be way better than Tachyon at that point, because Galaxy Photon with Kaito's new scale does not need Dragluxion at all. So I guess people can still go to use Kaito instead of Misael, but Misael mains are definitely going to suffer due to the main gimmick is going into Dragluxion, because the point of Dragluxion was to help them get Tachyon Primal, which you can get for a Transmigration, and then detach 2 materials to then go into Tachyon Dragon or Hope Harbinger, depends on which one you're going to do. But if Dragluxion gets banned, the only way to make the same boards that people would do if Dragluxion wasn't banned, we would either need Light End of Apparition Dragon and Dark End of Apparition Dragon, which hopefully they would put inside a new box if Dragluxion gets banned, because that will help Tachyon mains a lot. Unless we have those, or we're gonna have to have 3 copies of Nebula Dragon. Like, you're gonna have to have a superb hand of level 8s to even get 2 rank 8s out on the field. And even if you have those rank outs on the field, you just better pray that you have a Tachyon Primal in your hand to get that transmigration. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to have as many disruptions. You'll at least have 1 disruption with Hope Harbinger, but that's pretty much it. So if Dragluxion gets banned because of Therion, they pretty much killed an entire archetype. And I could just tell that they're going to fall off the exact same way how Branded fell off. For example, in KC Cup, Branded literally ran that. Like, there was a few Tachyon players and a few Shark mains and possibly anything else in between. I was using Utopia for like most of KC Cup. But in KC Cup, people was mostly maining Branded. Branded was running that meta back then. And because Branded was running that meta, the skill got nerfed. So if KC Cup happens or a WCS qualifier or anything like that happens, and somebody is using Therion, because most of the meta is going to be used with Therion, that's probably the only time that I would ever use Therion, because I'm pretty sure the WCS gives you an invitation to like the championships and stuff like that. But most of the meta is going to be Therion, which is going to cause Dragluxion to get banned. And if Dragluxion doesn't get banned, the meta is just going to stay the same. The entire meta is just going to be run by Therion. And I think that it's pretty ironic that we've been maining Dragluxion and other dragon decks. For example, Blue Eyes is a horrible deck. I'm just going to say this right now. Blue Eyes is not a good deck in the meta right now, and people are forced to use Tachyon engine because it'll help them out more, because Blue Eyes does not have the support that they have in Master Duel, and Blue Eyes hasn't gotten any relevance in the meta whatsoever other than Battle Chronicle, which was like, what, a year ago? Another thing is P.U.N.K under Princess Adina's protection under the Alt Mokuba skill. P.U.N.K has little relevance inside of the meta now. It didn't have that much relevance in the meta at the first place, because the most average thing that you would do, even if you had like didn't have Tachyon, it was probably going to be Emancipator Dragite with maybe 2 Psychic and Punishers, which is, that's easily to be baited, because that you're probably only going to have like 1 spell negate and possibly 2 of the traps from P.U.N.K. With Tachyon, it kind of upgraded it, because not only did it have a spell negate, we also had an Omni negate, and then we had the trap cards that was already from P.U.N.K. Then we also had Rising Scale. But the thing to make P.U.N.K Tachyon is that you would have to waste like half of your deck to make the board in the first place, which was a pretty neat drawback when you use it. Red Eyes also, like, Red Eyes players will also have to try a little bit, because after you go into Dragoon, let's say that you have Red Eyes Wyvern. After you go into Dragoon, then you would overlay into Dragluxion, search Tachyon Transmigration, then go into Tachyon. Then on the end phase, you would use Wyvern and then revive that Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. In fact, before you even overlay into Tachyon Dragon, you could really get Tachyon Primal special summon on the field. And if you have Lord of the Red, then you can get Lord of the Red and both of those and overlay them into Titanic Galaxy. Then go into Tachyon, and then on the end phase, then you can use the Red Eyes Wyvern's effect and then bring back the Dark Dragoon. And basically that's the point that I'm trying to make, because with at least these other dragon decks, either they were rogue decks that didn't have any relevance in the meta, or they were decks that actually needed that Tachyon support for it to be good. And I'm pretty sure the whole reason why P.U.N.K was tier 3 in the Duel Links meta in the first place is because of Tachyon and the amount of disruptions that you could have had. Because not only did P.U.N.K under Princess Adina also allowed you to get a synchro monster like Clear Wing for negates to also counter things like Dark Dragoon and things like that, then you also had access to the Tachyon engine and Dragluxion. And I don't think that Dragluxion deserves to get banned because of Therion, which is already meta deck, which is now using these rank A's to become tier 0 to the point where a tier 1 deck is not even possible. It's not Dragluxion's fault that Therion is such a broken deck and that people are abusing it to get inside of the tier 0 format. But Dragluxion got caught into the crossfire, and now it's about to kill off an entire other archetype just because of it. And one of the things that I really want to talk about for these last 5 minutes or 6 minutes is the entirety of ranked duels, because this will go perfectly with my Therion little rant, right? So with Therion, I said the only time that I would use this little format is either during KC Cup or the championship qualifier, because I'm pretty sure that with the championship qualifier, you can get actual invitations to the championships and shit like that, right? Okay, that makes sense. You're trying to get to the top, and but when it comes to ranked duels don't really have any significance. Like once you get to King of Games rank one time, there's nothing to do, which basically makes it more casual than things like KC Cup and shit, whatever. Like ranked duels feel like casual duels. Nobody is playing casual duels at all. It also hurts because people that cannot get to King of Games right because Therion exists, and how many people is going to be using Therion in ranked duels, people that want to get the King of Games rank for the first time, is going to be a extremely difficult time. Like you're probably going to reach the end of the season before you finally reach King of Games rank, which I think is actually pretty stupid. Me personally, I'm never grinding the King of Games rank because last time I did a Legend of King of Games rank on my live stream, and there were so many little meta players that it's not really, doesn't really have the time, because King of Games rank takes a 5 straight win streak, which if you lose your streak, that's it. You have to keep trying to consistently get 5 win streaks. And I'm not about to waste my time getting the King of Games. Once I get to Legend Rank 5, that's it. And I'm already at Legend Rank 1 right now. However, I think that due to the meta right now, I probably am going to make more Master Duel content than I ever would do with Duel Links content, because the Duel Links meta has just gotten extremely fucking stupid. Either Destiny Hero Plasma is negating all your cards, or the new Therion is making as much boards as possible, and they can get through any hand trap that you have or any board that you have. So I might just make more Master Duel content. At least when I'm playing Anima, Ryzel, and Master Duel, at least I have many different outs to draw, which will gain me an advantage whenever I'm going second, and not just an auto win for the opponent. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to rant about, because me and my friends was just talking about Dragluxion was getting a ban. Galaxy Eyes, which finally had its time to shine, wouldn't have its time to shine again, which is also pretty sad. But hey, it is what it is. Anything to make the meta balanced, I guess. But this is going to be the end of the ranting video. I might do more rants based on certain metas again, depending on if I hate any metas or not, or if any metas need to be changed or something like that. I'll also do that for Master Duel. Probably explain some new archetypes when I'm playing Master Duel and things like that. So, hey, yeah, I'll see you guys later. All right, peace.